What is going on, you guys? Vikram Prashar here. Welcome to the VP Show. You guys are tuning into another episode of the DropKick Podcast. But this is actually part 2 of our interview with Diana and Hart Smith. So this is the full part 2. It's a two-parter. So if you guys haven't watched part 1, go check it out. It's literally the video that I had just uploaded before this. You can also see it in our DropKick Podcast playlist, which is also available on my channel, so make sure you guys go check it out. It was an amazing in-depth interview with Diana Hart Smith, and I don't want you guys to miss any of it, so make sure you check out part 1 if you haven't already. Enjoy.
As fans, we always tend to focus on the struggles that wrestlers deal with. What are some common struggles that being a partner of a wrestler would have?
Well, I know a lot of this. This wasn't so much the case with us, but a lot of them would be that the wives don't understand that the wrestling industry, or they don't, they just don't get it. So they think when their husbands come home that that they're supposed to be, the Dad Brady or whatever, like the father on the Brady Bunch, and it's like that's not realistic. But I and they don't believe in wrestling, or they don't see it as they don't understand that they're like in a way like a superstar in some cases, or they're this other character when they're at work. They're like, I know, if I'm a waitress in a restaurant, I might go into like a character a little bit to help me get through it, or act extra polite or something. That might it might not really be my personality, but I got to get into the role. But
just got to do it. Yeah.
But with the wrestling, it is different, and sometimes the wrestler can't leave the character when they come home, and sometimes the wife or the partner can't understand that the wrestler
It's like shaping a new identity almost, as if, you know what I mean? And I think it was different back then because you had to stay in character 24/7. Whether now it's like you can stay in character on TV, of course, backstage not so much because there's social media now, and everyone's just kind of being themselves, being their real selves, right? And then they can go at home, be their real selves again. So, but back then it was a really intense. Like I said before, it was real. It was really real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I had. In a way, it was. I was always comparing. I think a lot of people compare. For a long time, then that's how it was. Was that I would compare Davey or other people to my brothers or our wrestling product or my dad. So I would see some of these early, when they first started with WWF in 84, 85, I would see some matches and think, that doesn't appeal to me at all. That's not Stampede Wrestling style. I didn't understand short matches and TV matches. I didn't, because I didn't know all that. I had to learn it. But I sometimes thought, I was so strict, or I was like, I'm Stu Hart's daughter. I'm Stu and Helen Hart's daughter. I can't. I wouldn't. I didn't drink.
You had that pressure, right?
I was like, I didn't want to do something. I was a nonconformist too, like Owen, but. If I got caught doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing, it was, when it came right down to it, it was like, oh, you got into a fight at school with somebody because they were picking on someone and you got involved because you didn't, or they were teasing a dog or hurting an animal or something, and then I wouldn't get that kind of thing. I could go nuts over something like that, but you wouldn't catch me or speeding to get because you're helping somebody out, but I wouldn't just be speeding because I was being a hot shot. So
Right.
I just so I mean I just couldn't help but, and it wasn't fair to Davey, but I don't think Davey minded, but at times I think I often put him with if he couldn't fix something, like he didn't know how to fix a car or something on the car. I was like, well, my dad would have known how to fix it. That wasn't fair of me to do that, to make Davey feel like he couldn't live up to my dad's standards because he didn't know how to. I mean, he knew lots of things too. I'm just trying to think of an example. And he wasn't home a lot either.
Right.
He was away, so I was finding myself dealing with these things without him, and I don't know if other wives feel like that too, where they feel like they're doing it all on their own, and then when their husbands come home, almost like they don't. Well, I got to do this, I got to do that. This is what the household looks like when you're not here.
Right.
Life goes on when you are here. I got to.
You just got to keep going with the stones, Yeah.
And I think maybe the wrestler will feel left out because he's away for so much of it. And they kind of feel like they're not a part of it, and then it can really make them
feel left out
on the veneer of the this really nice porcelain vase, but the crack keeps growing because it's not being fixed properly. So
for sure. But first off, I want to say you're a very strong woman, and you're an inspiration to many, like myself and Vikram. But if I may ask, how did you overcome the losses for family members such as Davey Boy Smith or any siblings, and also what advice would you have for someone who is coping with the loss?
Well, I had through many of the losses I had. Well, my mom, my dad, and my brothers and sisters, and Davey, and then and there were not to be feeling sorry for myself. There were a lot of losses, and a lot of them were really no, I don't want to say bizarre, but I mean, a loss is a loss is a loss.
Yes. Right.
Car accident or heart attack, or but some did. Matthew's loss first. I mean, Dean's was awful too. I mean, they all were, but sometimes you stay strong because you see others are. I mean, my mom was devastated when Dean died, and it didn't seem appropriate for me to be weak. I mean, my mom was still extremely strong. What she went through in her lifetime, but when she lost her son,
it's hard.
And and my dad just was strong through every single thing, everything. And then when Owen died, again, my mom was just devastated, and I didn't, and I had, luckily or fortunately, I had my dad and some really strong brothers and sisters to help me. And then my dad was still here when Davey died. So again, he was my pillar of strength. I had to be as strong as I could for my kids' sake. Although they were a lot of, a great amount of strength for me. Luckily, fortunately, I had some really good people to lean on. But after my dad died, I must say I've been totally lost. We don't have the house anymore. Everything that I attached. So I don't know if this is good advice.
It's okay.
You're asking how I'm coping with loss. I mean, everything was attached. Everything was connected. The house was connected to the family, was connected to the wrestling, was connected to our friends, connected to the wrestling, connected. Like it just was a complete circle. Nothing was, our house was where the wrestling happened. The dungeon, the office, the wrestlers, the family, the friends, the brothers-in-law, the kids.
Memories. Yeah.
It's all it was all extremely interactive, and
it's a combination of a lot of things, right?
And we didn't have the wrestling business in an office downtown where people. It was in our house where we
Yeah.
And all I heard
exactly
24 hours a day as long as I was at home.
Right.
I heard wrestling. The phones were ringing. That was, the cars were brought. The cars were wrestling vehicles, even if they were a limousine or, our whole lives revolved and evolved out of my mom and dad, who created this wrestling business before I was born, and became an integral part of what is now the WWE. And I just am, after my dad died and the house was sold and there was no more, when Harry left WWE in 2011, I've just not really, I just don't know where I fit in anymore. So, I've gone to wrestling shows and done a few little things, but when I get at a wrestling convention or something, it's pretty fulfilling because people will come up and, or they're old wrestlers that you haven't seen in a while, or friends and stuff. It's really of great comfort. But I just feel really detached, and I think that I ended up, part of my therapy was writing my books, the Cauliflower Hart trilogy, because I was missing the wrestling, and I started writing about it. And it became, I was writing about, it was all fictitiously, but writing about what I remembered in order to create this book.
Right.
And that was a really good for about 6 years, like great. And then the book became got published, or the book was published, and and I've tried to get back into my writing as a source of therapy, to try to get me back into a place where I feel I belong, or I can sympathize with. Because when you really start writing, getting into your characters and stuff, you do, you feel for them.
You feel for them, yeah. The emotional connection, everything, and that's like an escape for you, for example. But an escape for me is like, if I'm sad, like I'll put on like an old match or something that I used to watch for, and then that kind of works out. But that's a great escape. That's a good way to cope. Writing is a great way to cope for anybody that's listening. Do what you need to do. Get out of the house, find a job, work out. Even working out helps a lot, because I think Davey used to work out, and that he would kind of cope with that. Georgia kind of touched base on that, but that's a great way. That's a great way to cope.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he actually, if he didn't work out, he would get kind of down.
Right. That's how I feel too.
Yeah, me too.
I was that always was a go-to thing for me, was working out. But this COVID is, it's made things very, like a challenge.
Mentally, yeah, and physically.
I'm trying to get a workout in here, you know, like I moved in with my boyfriend, and he's in a really nice place in the country. You know, you can get a decent jog in if I can get the stamina up, I guess, because I just have been really just the COVID thing. It's
really unmotivating. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know where some of my weights are. It's like I can find one 10-pound dumbbell. It's like where's all my stuff? I don't know where it is. But he has all these. He's got a really big house, and he's got some spots in his house that I don't want to go into them. They're like my boyfriend. He's a very good hunter, and I don't hunt. And it's funny that I don't. He hunts and he gets his food, makes and gives food to his friends and stuff. So it's a definite purpose to his hunting. But he's got some rooms in his house that are for his hunting, and I think maybe he's put some of my stuff in there. I don't want to go in them though. I'm not sure what I would see, or it's just not it's not on the
thing. Right.
Yeah.
So he's tried to find some of the stuff that he put away too, but anyway, it's just it's hard. I feel like where I am though isn't really my boyfriend he just bends over backwards for me.
That's good. Yeah.
I feel like it's not my place. Like not it's his place, and I've got my animals here and stuff. But I don't want to start taking deer heads down off his walls, and it's not my place to do that. And those are things that he's. But I do it gets to me though. I do feel depressed about it. It's like if I had been more of a success or hadn't been a failure in ways, I wouldn't be in a situation that. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know that I would want to not be living with my boyfriend. It's it's part of my my anxiety and depression. It's like if I had the choice, I would want to be living with him and with my animals, and we're in this absolutely stunning home with this beautiful landscape with nobody around. But at the same time, I feel like if I had done things differently, I would have at least a place somewhere that I could put all my stuff and call it home. And I don't have that. I don't know. It's just I feel just sometimes I just feel so unaccomplished. Like I can't find my 10-pound dumbbell, and that the other 10-pound dumbbell, or I can't find my rubber ribbons for. It's like I get really down about it. It's like, well, how did I lose them? Like what? How did this? I lose things all the time. How did I? Why can't I find my glasses or my eyeglasses? It
happens.
And it really does get me into a real spiral, and it's silly, but at the same time I can't help but get very down on myself about it.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I'm at a point right now where I don't care, but maybe I should. Or is the fact that I don't care, is that because I'm getting better, or am I not caring because I'm getting worse? Like, I don't know. It's just a really
It's a lot
hard
of
thing
questions,
with depression and
Sure.
anxiety, and
But I
I
think,
don't really have anybody more to tell me.
hmm
Like my dad would have, or my mom or Davey would have said that. My boyfriend tries. He'll say that's, but my mom and dad and Davey, like when I get an idea, like about writing a book or something again, or someone will ask me, well, where's the money in it, or what's the point, and it's like, well, I was just doing it to make myself feel better.
Right.
And they don't get that. It's like, well, you should be doing it for a purpose.
I think,
feeling better isn't good enough.
right.
Why are you training in bodybuilding? Well, to compete. Well, are you gonna win any money? Well, no, but why are you doing it? Well,
Right.
I don't know.
It's for your own self, right?
It just pushes me off the little pedestal that I was climbing on. But my dad would have, and Davey would have been, that they would have been right on board with me, or what, to get an idea to start I wanted to start a dungeon, like a multidiscipline dungeon. It was going to be called that.
I don't think you should really take crap from anybody. If you feel like you want to do something, go ahead and do it. Yeah. So it's like, it's what you want to do. Like, if
it's what makes you happy.
Right. And I think happiness has to come first. If you feel happy about becoming a professional wrestler, doing anything, writing a book, then you go ahead and do it. Someone tells you, oh, you're too small to be a pro wrestler. No, you can prove them wrong, So I think with time and persistence, like you can make it work. And that goes for anybody that wants to start something, This podcast isn't going to get like 1 billion views, you know what I mean? Like, I'm doing it because I want to do it, and I don't really care how many views it gets. It's about how I feel, and you know what I mean, and how we both feel about it.
And it's when you have a really good support, like even one person that, and if you don't have that, it's really challenging. You don't have I don't know how many people I went to about the dungeon idea, and I had one person in the States that was on board with me, and we'd but I asked so many people. I said it's going to be a gym for kids up to 100 years old. Little kids
great.
for fun, and then if you want to learn amateur wrestling when you're
oh, wow,
absolutely.
And it was going to be all the disciplines of combative sports without it becoming where you're getting hurt. It was all just to learn about it, and it was like the Stu Hart philosophy. And
I think that would be great. Absolutely.
Sounds like an amazing idea.
I would probably come by too, just to see how things are, you know what I mean? Like,
I thought it was cute to have like little kids in their padded helmets and the big gloves and learning how to box, and the moms could be in the other room taking kickboxing, and the fathers could be learning jiu-jitsu or grappling, or
absolutely
getting taught privately. And if you wanted to go on and make it something that you want to compete in, then we could help you with that. And if you just want to do it for fun, get in shape, or you actually want to learn how to protect yourself, or we were going to cover it all. And
be great.
You wouldn't believe how many people I went to with the idea, and like nope.
Man,
and,
sounds like a really nice
sounds
idea.
Sounds like a great idea. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I had two really good people in Calgary that put money into it to help me get it started.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we did a business plan with that. And then I took the business plan to people to invest in it because we needed a building and to buy mats and pay a trainer, pay people to. And no, could not.
Yeah.
I was so sick about that. I really was. I couldn't get anyone to. Oh, what do you know about business? Or what do you? Oh, are you you never wrestled? It's like, no, I know that, but I have people that will help me.
That would help you to
obviously.
get to that point, right?
Like, well, who? I said, well, I have one guy. Well, he's going to come up with his family. Oh boy, that just doesn't sound very. Who else? Are your brothers involved? Right. Well, no, they're not, because they didn't want to get involved. They've got other things going. So, oh gee, I don't know. Well, sorry, can't help. I mean, I had so many doors slam in my face. I got very bitter about that, and and it was like that with everything, but with that I was pursuing, and whenever I did it though with Davey,
right,
like it would happen, and when I did things with my dad endorsing it, it would happen, but they're not. And it's like, oh, you're. Honestly, I felt like leaving the planet. I was so pissed off about that. I still am, but I was so upset about that nobody would help me with this idea, and that and now it's like, well, lucky that didn't happen because you would have been bankrupt during the COVID. It's like, yeah, well,
it was a great idea, I think.
Yeah, it seems really cool. Like just having all these like different ideas, like branch off into another one. It's just, it makes people come together and appreciate the sport more. Not just professional wrestling, even amateur wrestling or boxing. You name it. Like it's all there.
Everything. It would have been.
Yeah.
It would have had everything. Like that sounds like an amazing idea.
You know, we could eventually start teaching. Like professional wrestling, and that was
man, that would be cool.
I mean, I was trying to appeal to anyone. You know, well, we're going to do amateur wrestling, but we'll eventually be bringing. You know, it could become a farm team for guys could learn how to wrestle here and have a lifetime membership where they could come in anytime and learn their. You know, learn how.
That would be an honor, honestly.
Yeah.
It
would be incredible.
So many people just didn't. When I say so many, it was like 99 out of 100 said it wouldn't work because I was a girl and I had depression issues and I didn't have financial backing. I didn't have anybody to do I said, but I will get people to teach. I said, all I have is one guy, and he's. Anyway, I'm really harping on it now, you guys. Sorry about that. It just
no, it's all good.
No problem.
You can keep talking about it. Yeah.
I understand it 100%. Like people, they weren't believing in you, and that's something like for everybody who's listening. Like, if people aren't gonna believe in you, try your best to believe in yourself. If you have one person or two people who are gonna believe in you, pay attention to them. Like, just do everything that you can to prove people wrong. And I think that's a really good takeaway from that, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got you've got somebody that will keep you. Because if you just all you hear is that, and nobody is telling you otherwise that you're a failure or nothing you do is going to work unless you're going to do it. Really, you know, all I ever hear now is unless I get a normal job, like, I don't know, folding T-shirts at the Gap or something, that I have there's no hope for me.
But you had a great career. You wrote a book.
You had an amazing career.
Yeah.
And yeah, you said you had one person who believed in that idea. You have two more now because that sounded amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we've heard you speak about the effects of bullying before. What are your experience with bullying, and like what advice do you have for anybody struggling with that?
Yeah, I was bullied a lot, not to the extent that my older sisters and brothers were bullied. More, I remember a lot with Georgia and Ellie and Georgia getting teased at school really badly.
There's Rocky.
Oh yeah, Rocky, my boy. My boy, oh Rocky. So, I mean, like physically bullied and my brothers went to the school. Brett was the one that he tried to, he did stick up for Georgia, and he would have been like grade 7. George was grade 8, Ellie was grade 9. So Brett was he was, a kid, a child still.
Yeah.
And then it turned into more bullying, and then my brothers from the high school came one day and they had the big showdown. I
heard so many stories about that. Like,
yeah, even
crazy.
Some of the teachers were, they were quite aware of the bullying going on and didn't do anything to defend my sisters or Brett. And then, so the Hart family got together and went down and had the showdown at the old corral, and
it's amazing,
and cleaned house, and it was one of those great moments for my family, my brothers and sisters. I don't think my mom and dad knew the extent of the bullying because they just had so much to worry about. But we were at that time, our family was very poor, and we were, Ellie and Georgia were wearing clothes that my mom got from her friends, and like they were clothes that had like darts in them. They were like for women, and they were picked on because of their clothes, and we were really poor when the boys were wearing shorts, Salvation Army, like the real army shorts, but shorts to school in the winter, because that's my dad got the clothes. We wouldn't have any clothes, but got them. So they were teasing the boys relentlessly that they were probably like cargo pants except shorts. And nowadays they'd probably be really cool. Like,
it is. I mean, John Cena worked for half the decade, so you know what I mean. But
So when I was in school, I remember getting teased about my hair because I had I had kind of we just had soap for shampoo, and my hair was really long and it got tangled so badly, and there was no conditioner. Imagine like trying to brush out your hair when you're, and oh god, my dad would comb it, but he very thoughtfully comb it out. But I mean, you go a few days without it being combed out. I mean, I didn't want him combing it. He had like this little pocket comb, and it hurt so much, and my hair was down my back, so I would get these mats in it, like real, and I try to cover it up, like I had, my hair was good, or put it in a ponytail, but I had mats in my hair, and then I get, like they'd stick up once at school and stuff. My dad wouldn't see it, but I would get teased about my hair and my clothes. My pants were too short, and the sleeves were too short. Holes in the sleeves and holes in the elbows, and picked on a lot about the wrestling, and it just drive me nuts. That more than anything was when kids would start saying that my dad was a fake, and that would just drive me nuts.
Yeah.
So I would, got into a lot of fights and waiting at the school for someone to pick us up at lunchtime, because the school at the time was fairly useless and not one teacher would let us sit in the art room to eat our lunch. They said we had to be supervised, which, I don't, it's just like.
It was a bad system, yeah.
So my dad would have to come from, and we couldn't walk home from, during the lunch hour. That's what the kids did then, was they'd walk home for lunch and come back. And so my dad would have to come and get us. My mom didn't drive, and pick us up, feed us. It was usually like a piping hot bowl of beef stew or something, and then take us back to school. I mean, you got to allow like 15 minutes to get home and 15 minutes to get back to school, because it was a drive. It's not like we just were across the street, and then eat. And it was like you're eating, it's so hot, and you get back to school, and you got, I mean, really, this stuff doesn't even matter, but the kids would pick on you because you've got like a big orange soup stain on your shirt, or you've got orange spaghetti sauce still on your face, and you're just back in the classroom, like, and even the teachers were just sometimes so insensitive. They didn't have they couldn't have any idea how hard it is for a guy, my mom and dad raising their 12 kids and they're wrestling, and they just have to, no, your kids can't stay at school. They've got to pick them up. So anyway, as Owen and I were getting older, Ross had moved on to the next school. We'd be waiting, and out by this time Brett had his license, so he would pick us up in one of my dad's Cadillacs, which we had at this point. We had the gold Brougham,
right?
And Owen and I were playing marbles, waiting for our ride, and again, our family all worked together. I mean, Brett would leave his lunch hour in the car to pick us up, drive us home, drive us back to school, drive himself back to school. This was just for the lunch hour, so these kids were teasing Owen and me. They just nasty kids, and they kick our marbles, and Owen was a year, like one grade, like I would have been grade 5, Owen would have been grade 3. So he's trying to stick up for me and the marbles, and I'm trying to stick up for my little brother and the marbles, and and this. Yeah. And I know we had dirty faces and stuff. It's like we're playing out in the playground, but these kids were just
ruthless. Yeah.
They were terrible, and I'm telling you that it wasn't half as bad as what my sisters went through, or So anyway, Brett came to the school, and we told Brett, and so Brett made a point of getting to the school early and grabbed the kids. He saw them going right for us, and he grabbed them, and he made one kid kiss the license plate of the car. And ran off. And it's funny, I ran into one of these kids. They're grown up now.
Oh wow!
And his version of it is so different.
Yeah,
it's like,
says a lot.
We were all friends then. We were all playing. It's like, no, we weren't. Oh,
yeah.
Then your brother Brett came over, and he was mad about something. I said, no, he was mad because you guys were picking on us.
Right?
No, we weren't.
Yeah.
We were all buddies then. It's like, no.
Not a chance.
I have I was traumatized from that. I'm not trying to exaggerate, but I like it. And it just affected me in a way that I never.
Because you're so young at the time, right? So you're experiencing like this, and it just makes you. It just gives you like a bad perspective on things, and it just kind of gets in your head, and you overthink it, and you know what I mean. So of course,
Yeah.
But for anyone that's listening, for bullying, you can always reach out to other people, your friends, your family, even us. So
Yeah,
absolutely. But
not good, if you feel, but there are compassionate people that, when they see what's going on, what they will help you or protect you, I had, it wasn't everybody, it was just that there was that little group, and they would target us every day, and they kind of in their eyes, which is so weird, but in their eyes, when I ran into the one, 50 years later or whatever, 48 years later, he thought it was all fun. He didn't see it as, he thought kicking me and Owen around and him grabbing Owen by the neck and spitting on us and yelling at us. He thought that was all fun. So it's funny. And
it's funny how they come back to you after all these years, like just you guys are really successful as a family. Like you guys had crazy amount of success in terms of careers and everything, you know what I mean? And then they'll come back to you and that's when you made it. Like when your haters come, it's just like so you're gonna come back to us, you know what I mean? Like we
made it in the business that they all were knocking when we were growing up.
Exactly.
We made it in that particular. We didn't make it in, because we won the lottery ticket or we were.
You guys worked hard. You guys worked your way up. It wasn't even like a fluke. You guys worked day in and day out to, sacrifice a lot of things, and it all kind of paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a hardworking dude.
They never even went on a holiday. Ever. They worked all day in the house. It was really amazing. And they made this such a wholesome upbringing for us in business that can be unsavory. I'm not saying it always is, but my mom and dad were totally devoted to each other. There was, they tried their best for good food, and my mom's business, she was a good secretary. She tried so hard. Everything was handwritten and beautiful penmanship, and she knew all the right ways to do it, and everything was organized. They just did their best. They really, and that a lot of it rubbed off on the kids in different ways, but it just I'm so glad for what I was it's nice that we had some friends along the way that also found it fascinating, and we're still friends with, unless they're not alive anymore, that we're still friends with. Like Brett's high school and childhood friends are still his friends, and mine are, and my older brothers, and a lot of the friends were mutual friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brett's friends were Smith's friends, were Wayne's friends, and they're still in the picture now.
It kind of happens, But switching to more of a positive note, you mentioned that you're a writer and you have written books such as Under the Mat, and you mentioned the Cauliflower Hart trilogy. What stands out to you while writing these books, and which one are you most proud of?
I think the Cauliflower Heart. I think book 3, because I managed to tie. Well, I managed to tie it all together, because I didn't know how it was going to end. So, but that. I started writing. I took Canadian literature at university here in Calgary, and was supposed to become a teacher. It didn't happen, but I was pregnant with Harry, and then ended up not finishing university, which is unfortunate that I never did go back. I wish I had, because I think I would be a better writer now if I had finished, whether I pursued teaching as a career or not. Because I love writing. It's fascinating, and the different styles. And I
Absolutely.
was like in my third year of literature, and I was taking psychology, and that was also very helpful in trying to like put together the mindset of a character.
Yeah, absolutely.
And linguistics was really fascinating. It's like a whole language. Linguistics, I liked it. So, but I felt I had some validation, or like some credibility to be a writer, because I had studied it in university for 3 years, and I always wrote. I was like, and my mom loved writing, and I think it's a creative thing. I love drawing as well. I mean, I've done lots of drawings too, but unfortunately, I never seem to get. I don't know what it is. I mean, just I never seem to. I don't draw because I want to make money or anything, but
you just kind of go along with what's in your mind. You know what I mean? So
I wish I had done. Had made money with my drawings and artwork, because I could have been doing that as a living, and not, the idea of being a retail clothing clerk. It really, it doesn't appeal to me, especially when you're getting close to 60 and you're just thinking like everything starts hurting in your legs, and your eyesight's going, and your fingers can't move like they used to, and it's just, even when I'm drawing now, I find that I can't get the detail, because I can't hold the pencil the way I used to. That kind of, that's too bad, but that's life. But Cauliflower Heart, the first one that I wrote was a romantic wrestler, and then I wrote the second one, which was a sequel to that, and that was Wrestling with Life, and it was a little shorter, and the third one was the conclusion of it. I knew when I finished Wrestling with Life that I needed to have a third book to
of course,
tie it up the end. But for whatever reason, some people will just buy one, and it's like,
kind of bothers you, right?
Yeah, they buy the smallest book, because they'll figure would be the shortest to read, and it's like, but you should buy buy all three, and then you know how it ends.
Really understand the story, right? Absolutely.
And, I don't know why they're even buying it. Sometimes I hate to sound like I'm such a sourpuss, but I'd almost rather they didn't buy it, because it's going to sound like a really stupid story, because they don't know who these characters are.
Or they're not reading it from the first,
Yeah. Like buying, I don't know, one of the, like you just say, buying one of the Harry Potter books and starting with the third book in, and never going any further with it.
Yeah.
So they might, and at the end of it, if they actually did put the time into reading the middle book, they must think that I have no writing sense. But the book starts with a weird beginning, because it takes off from where the book one ended. Right. And it ends with no ending, because we have a conclusion that comes at the end of the third book.
Next book.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I've had so many of these book things where it's like, well, we're gonna just. I don't want to buy all three. I just want to buy one. Which one would you buy? And it's like, well, I don't know. I guess buy the first one.
Makes the most sense, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but they're
Right.
like, and they think that you're trying to hit them up for the big sale. Like, well, what is one book? It's like, well, one book is 20. So I got to pay $60 for 3 books. It's like, well, no, I'll give you a deal. Like, I'll, charge you 30 for 3 if you just, buy 3, but don't just buy one.
Doesn't make sense, yeah.
But they think that I'm trying to, that I'm just hell-bent on making a bigger sale.
But that's not the case. You want people to really look at your work and be like, this is great, because that's what you're putting out. Like, artists and stuff, it's always like that, but people always are hell-bent on, like, people think that the seller or whatever is trying to rip them off, but that's not always the case.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was great, and that didn't. I mean, writing it was so wonderful to have the first book when I got it shipped to my house. I was so happy. Again, I was all by myself. I didn't have my kid. Georgia was in England and Harry was in Japan or somewhere. And I think I don't know. I gave the books to a lot of people, and a lot of them are like, I'm too busy to read, or I only read biographies, or I only read science fiction, or a wrestling romance. So is it a book for girls? Or so I've gotten some really nice messages on Amazon from people who I don't know that read it and loved all 3. But people that I do know that I've given the books to, just a handful of them have made a point of telling me that I don't want to know it's not that I just want to hear that they're good, they like them, but I just want genuine feedback.
Right. That's what you're looking for.
Of course.
And the third book they're all first edits, so there's mistakes. But the third book, there are some typos that I feel bad about. But when it goes into second print, those would be fixed. But they can't do anything about it now. You have to get rid of all the books you have now before they would redo the.
Yeah.
So that's too bad. It kind of gives it an amateur flavor, which I mean, I don't know what to do about that. But my publisher was great. She was really, really nice woman, and has been really supportive and encourages me all the time to keep back writing. She's with a group called Headline Books, and they were the #1 independent publisher for 2018 and quite a few years previously too. But she's been really good, and I feel I want to do more for her because she believed in me. And she gave me a chance. She published the books, and so I got to get. I don't know what it's going to take, but I got to get going again on my working out and my art, even if I can't hold a pencil as well as I could, and my writing. But I don't know. I'm just in a funk right now. Have been for probably since a different one than before. I think it's stemming from the coronavirus.
I think it'll all work out eventually.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It'll all work out.
But wrapping up our interview, I always ask this question, this final question. What's the next chapter for you?
What kind of what?
I said, what's the next chapter for you?
Oh, what's the next chapter for me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Every day I try to do something, and then at the end of the day I
see wherever life takes you.
Yeah, really.
Try writing, and then that kind of comes to a standstill, and then I don't know. I don't know, you guys. At the moment, I don't really know what I'm looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a very vague answer, but I just don't even know what. I mean, if I knew when the Hall of Fame was, or how it, how that, I would be. I'm just really not sure what to say right now about my next chapter.
It's fine.
It's
not to worry, because
it's a day-to-day thing right now.
Absolutely.
Take
it one by bit. To worry about. We actually do like to end things off with a little bit of a game. So we're gonna list 10. We're gonna list 10 names, and you can use one word or one sentence to describe each one of them.
Okay. And will I know these names, or are they just?
Yes, you'll know the names.
Okay.
All right. So let's start things off with the British Bulldog.
Okay. Evolutionary and revolutionary.
Bret Hart.
Legendary.
Harry Smith.
Oh, an airtight mystery.
Owen Hart.
Woodstock.
Brian Pillman.
A fearless team player.
Georgia Smith.
Underrated and brilliant.
Jim Neidhart.
Rhinoceros. The rhino.
Tyson Kidd.
Oh gosh. Relentless fighter and cat whisperer.
Stu Hart.
Okay. My dad was the greatest of all positive things that are great.
Well, lastly, not the least, Natalia.
Driven and artistic.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We want to thank you again. Right. We want to thank you for making this happen. And everyone, thanks for watching. And this episode will be out soon. And yeah.